Thanks for tuning in to Unbreakable with ChrisChamasiros. I talk about politics, sports, and entertainment to keep you well-rounded what's going on around the world. If you don't like hearing the truth, definitely don't tune into this channel. So let's get started today. So over the weekend on Saturday, I watched Ohio State versus Texas. And I know Arch Manning right now is taking a lot of heat. And I just have a question for all of you critics, haters, whatever you want to call yourselves. Did you actually watch the game? Did you watch every single snap? Arch Manning makes his first start against Ohio State, a defense that easily is going to have at least 5 or 6 guys this year drafted to the NFL. The entire defense within the next 2 years will all be in the NFL. That's how good the Ohio State defense is. And the Texas defense also played outstanding. And if you noticed, if you watched the game, Ohio State's stud receiver, Jeremiah Smith, could not do anything, could not get anything going on the offensive side of the football. When you win a national championship in college football, you have to have a stud defense. So Arch Manning, his first start ever, he goes into the Horseshoe, a packed stadium, and he loses 14-7, and the internet goes ablaze with the privileged Manning. This is what happens when privilege meets college football. Arch Manning sucks. He can't throw a football. Did you watch the game? My question again to you, did you even watch the football game? Because Ohio State's defensive backs are incredible. The coverage, every single play. The wide receivers for Texas had no chance of making a play on that football. And when Arch Manning was under pressure and he had to make a throw, yeah, he had one picked off. But for the most part, his receivers didn't get any separation from the defensive backs. Arch Manning wasn't thrown to Matthew Golden this year, an elite prospect. And usually the team that has more NFL players in college usually wins the game, unless you're Shedeur Sanders. Because Shedeur Sanders, guess what? On offense, he had 4 players on his team drafted to the NFL. And they still lost 4 games, and they still lost their bowl game, and Shedeur still stunk up the field. But that's a whole different video. We'll get into Shedeur in a minute. Ohio State's cornerbacks, specifically Davison Igbuson, he reminds me of Joey Porter Jr. He played outstanding. Caleb Downs, they say, is the best safety in all of college football. Jalen McClain, he's not too far behind him. The other cornerback, Jermaine Matthews Jr., this is an outstanding stud, NFL-ready secondary. And let's not forget, the Texas Longhorns went for it on 4th down 4 times within their own 10-yard line and got stopped. And they lost the game 14-7. The Texas Longhorns could have easily won this game. I don't know why they would keep going for it on 4th down. Am I trying to tell you that Arch Manning played incredible football? No, he was 17 for 30 for 170 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Very high school-like numbers. But guess what? For all the race baiters out there, racist Ryan Clark, woke ESPN, Black Twitter, and the rest of the garbage cans on TV, if you put Shedeur Sanders on this Texas team right now, if you put him on this Texas team and he had to play Ohio State, Shedeur Sanders would have been sacked 5 to 7 times, threw 3 interceptions, and Shedeur would have lost the game by 35 to 40 points. Watch the football game. I know this is hard. I know people just want to see racism. That's it. I've been brainwashed to think that Shedeur Sanders is the best player ever. And then when Shedeur Sanders doesn't get what he wants, it must be racism. The racist NFL. People don't like his dad. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you want me to believe now that the NFL doesn't like confident black men. That's the new narrative. Yep, Shedeur Sanders is third string quarterback because the NFL of all places doesn't like confident black men. Interesting. Well, I've been watching football a long time, and there's one thing that the NFL loves, regardless of color. But if they're black and they're outstanding players and they're filled with confidence, the NFL loves that. And how do I know the NFL loves that? Because of the amount of money they pay those players. But hey, that would mean, you'd have to stop being racist for 2 seconds out of your life and tell it like it is and tell the truth. Arch Manning, he's privileged. He comes from privilege. Really? What does Shador and Shiloh come from? They were living in teepees in a tent somewhere in Texas in the backwoods. Oh, they don't come from silk sheets. They don't come from privilege with all Deion's money. Deion's been rich 4 or 5 decades. Deion's been rich when money was really money. Oh, no. Shiloh and Shador, they don't come from privilege. Only Arch Manning. We all know why. I guarantee Arch Manning, unlike Shador, I will guarantee that Arch Manning becomes tremendous from this loss. That as good as he is and is going to be, he will be 1,000 times better. Arch Manning's first start against the defending national champions, the Ohio State Buckeyes, who are loaded with NFL talent. This entire defense for Ohio State in 2025, that entire defense within the next 2 years will be in the NFL. Every single player on that defense is going to the NFL, especially the 2 corners and the 2 safeties. They were outstanding. When you watch the game, the wide receiver in Texas, they're every single play, they're step for step with an Ohio State defensive back. The ball's exactly where it's supposed to be. They either can make the catch or they can't. There was not one receiver in this game, like in typical college games, if you watch the Pac-10, if you watch USC, UCLA, guys are open by 5, 10, 15 yards. That's why the scores are 100-50. You notice something this weekend? Ohio State, Texas, 14-7. Clemson, LSU 17, Clemson 10. The LSU-Clemson football game was one of the best football games I've ever seen in my life. There were so many great players on the field during the LSU-Clemson game, and the atmosphere of the stadium at Death Valley was incredible. But you notice one thing? When the top college teams play each other, the best teams in the nation have the best defenses. What happens? All of a sudden, the score isn't 52-30. All of a sudden, the score is 17-10. All of a sudden, the score is 14-7. You know why? It sounds like NFL scores because there's NFL players on those rosters. Comparing Shador Sanders to Arch Manning is just completely laughable. Shador Sanders, his junior year for Colorado, lost the last 6 games in a row. They lost the last 6 games to end the season. Shador Sanders' senior year, they lost the Final Four and the bowl game. And then Deion retires Shador's jersey as one of the best players in Colorado football history. And you sit there and you want to blame Arch Manning for Shador and Shiloh not succeeding? This is all Deion's fault. Because Deion has no humility. Instead of telling his sons, like, hey, you need to get better in this area, this area, this area. You're not doing this right. No, you're the best thing ever, Shador. No, Shiloh, you don't need to work on anything. My kids are the best thing ever. It's the NFL that's holding them down. Look at Shiloh during the draft, what he says to Shador. Oh, you saw what they did to me. I can only imagine what they're going to do. What are they doing to you? Neither one of you is that good. And you're going to say, well, Arch Manning didn't play. That's right. He didn't play his best. But if you took Shador Sanders right now, who's on the Cleveland Browns, and you inserted him as the Texas quarterback, and he played against this Ohio State defense, he would have been sacked 5 times. He would have thrown 2 or 3 interceptions, and the Texas Longhorns would have lost the game by 20 to 30 points. That's the big difference. Arch Manning kept his composure. When things weren't going right, he got up. Next play, next play, next play. Fine, he threw one pick. But guess what? He wasn't a total disaster. He wasn't a total mess. It's something to build on. And I got to say it one more time for all you thickhead morons who just see race and listen to what ESPN says. Ohio State probably has the best defense in the country. Top 3, top 4. You figure Ohio State, Clemson, Oregon, Texas, Georgia. These defenses are outstanding. And you act like Arch Manning is playing some bums. They're the defending national champions, loaded with NFL talent. And this is Arch Manning's first start of his career, and he loses 14-7. And all the videos that go up, the privilege, Arch Manning sucks. This is when privilege meets great college teams. Really? Shedeur would have lost this game by 45 points. Remember the Oregon game? Remember Shedeur's junior year when Colorado went to Oregon and Dan Lannon was all pumped up for the game? And that Oregon team came out and absolutely smoked the Buffaloes. It looked like Oregon was playing a high school team. That's exactly what would have happened. You could take Shedeur Sanders right now, a Cleveland Brown, and put him as the starting quarterback for the Texas Longhorns. And if he played this Ohio State defense, that's exactly what would have happened. I will not be surprised at all if you see the Texas Longhorns in the college playoffs led by Arch Manning. I expect a complete rebound. And fine, he didn't play his best football, but he showed a lot of poise, and he showed you with his play and his attitude why he's going to be a superstar. And I'm going to stick with that. I'm going to end it with that. If I had to bet my money, I'm going to bet my money that Arch Manning turns into that superstar and the overall number 1 pick in the NFL draft when he finally decides to come out. And with that being said, thanks for tuning in to Unbreakable with ChrisChamasiros.